Orthotics number 12. Yeah. Fly robotics. Bifocals, my only purpose is to feed the locals. I'm spreading love when I see you and gotta approach you. I see the goodness in you, I wouldn't John Wick you. I know you hustling for your family just to pay the fiscal. I see the God up in you, He bless your physical. While we navigating problems, the world is abysmal. Skip the one up, let's get it to the center. Your house is big as mine, we can always help each other. Affirmation smother, it ain't even cost me a dime to uplift my brother.
Yo, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to Vulnerability is the New Sexy. Listen, we got a topic today, man. I saw something on the internet, something that the rapper Mace said, and it kind of inspired me to have a conversation about it. I'm gonna play you the video, but basically what he was saying was no powerful man has ever achieved greatness without a strong woman by his side. And I kind of want to explore that with some of my brothers today. Because for centuries, we've been raised with the idea that we have to be strong, independent and self-sufficient. But what if true greatness isn't really about going it alone? Really, what if true greatness relies in your position in the family? And we don't know. I don't think everybody agrees with that premise. So that's kind of why we're having this conversation today. And joining me today, three brothers I respect. My brothers Q and Walter, and another fellow black male therapist, Mr. Brian Perry. We're gonna break this down. Get real about our own personal experiences and kind of talk about what it means to us. But before I jump in and show the video, man, let me ask y'all, man, do y'all fall in line with that statement? No powerful man has ever achieved greatness without a strong woman by his side. What about you, Q?
Man, I'm a fall in line with that statement simply because everybody got a mother. Not to say every mother was absolutely there for their child's success, but I'm telling you, you ain't grow up and have any of that success without your mom. Like regardless of the way you was taught, if it was the way you was taught or the way you speak or the way you know how to handle business or people, some of that definitely came directly from your mom. So I'm gonna stand by that statement for sure.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Walter?
I'm gonna go behind Q and say, I didn't think about it from that standpoint, as far as your mother. I thought romantic wife, girlfriend, that kind of thing. But thinking about it like that, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we can be just not talking about our partners, man. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And that's an important point that you brought there, Q. Mr. Brian, what do you feel, man?
I'm gonna have to say absolutely. I mean, I've had more female mentors in my life, not to mention just my mom and my grandmother, but I've had more female mentors every time I make a different turn, a new job, in college. I've always had a lady that's guiding me, an older woman. Mm-hmm. And they've kind of input that wisdom that you just can't get from anywhere.
Yeah. I wanted to try to figure out or think of somebody that can challenge this statement. So I just kind of went through my Rolodex of powerful men, and I couldn't think of anybody. I don't know if y'all brothers came with anybody. If anybody in the chat came up with somebody who is done well or infinitely powerful, and has done that being a single man. You know what I mean? Especially black men. It's really difficult, I think, for us. I mean, you could probably name a few white guys, but it's a little difficult for us to navigate in this world sometimes, I think, without a
but I don't want to say strong. Name are inherited.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So, but I don't even want to say strong, because we hear the term strong black woman all the time. And I just recently been kind of hearing from women that they don't even like that term, But I guess when y'all think of strong women in your life, who comes to mind and why? What do you say, Walter?
Immediately, I think of my mother.
Before you talk, Walter, let me lower your camera, brother. The people can't see your face.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Right, go ahead,
immediately, immediately I think of my mother, my grandmother. Um, right now I'm having an experience with a woman that I would classify as a strong black woman. Someone that I met who is, she reminds me of my grandmother, in the way that she moves, in the way that she treats me. Um, so I would definitely say, my mother, my grandmother, and now Marietta, who has just become a great friend lately.
So what classifies being strong in your life? Would you say?
Uh, interestingly, I was thinking about this in my solitude the other day, and I I think my measuring stick has always kind of been my grandmother. Um,
Hmm.
I look for traits that my grandmother exhibited in friends, in partners, whatever, in women. Um, and that has always been the yardstick by which I say, okay, well, that's a strong woman. If the more things that this woman does that my grandmother did, the higher on that scale she climbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel you, brother. Uh, Brian, what say you, man? Who comes to mind when you hear that?
Man, I have to say my wife, man, just for putting up with me. Next week, man, I'll be married 27 years. So
Golly.
Yeah,
it's a
salute, bro.
Congratulations, man.
appreciate it, man. But when I think about the different accomplishments that I've gotten, the different things the trek that I've been on, man, I couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no possible way. I got 2 children. Well, I have 2 adult children, but there's no possible way that you can go to school and take your income and split it in half, lose a job, do a different job, and start all over without somebody on your side.
yeah, for sure,
Facts.
for sure, for sure. How about you, Q?
Man, yeah, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna follow these fellas too. Like I'm gonna have to say my wife, my mom, my grandma, and my sister. Like, my family is like led by a matriarch, so I have a lot of that. I got uncles and and stuff, but like they not actually leading the family. So yeah, my grandma, my wife definitely is what we would classify as a strong woman. And how and like I know women don't like that term, but like I look at it as resilience. It ain't about physical strength, and if you don't cry or stuff like that, you don't feel pain or whatever. It's about resilience to me. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
mom, grandmother, wife, sister, for sure.
Chat. Who you think about when I say strong black women? I know. If you're out there and you're a woman, you don't like that term. We working on trying to figure out another way to describe it. I know y'all tired of being resilient. Tired of being labeled as strong. That's what I keep hearing. So I'm working on another way to define it for y'all. But who do you think about when that term comes to mind? Go ahead and throw it in the chat. I know for me, it's a number of people, right? I don't feel like I know anybody who doesn't really fit that bill. I look at that stuff, I'm like, damn, that looks hard. You know what I mean? That looks tough. Just the condition of what this country's in, I know that it's tough, and I feel like the war comes in between when we forget to talk about strong black men on the side of that. We just labeling and identifying strong black women without giving credit and credence to the resilience that black men have to put up with as well. And I don't think that I think we make the mistake of comparing or contrasting, is recognizing that both have a pretty tough journey, and to be especially an American black person, you automatically almost always. I mean, there's a couple people that coon their way out of it, but if you don't coon your way out of it, then you definitely have to develop some type of resilience in order to survive in this country. You know what I'm saying? That's been my experience. But when you talk about when all y'all are married, what do you think? I'm gonna start with you, Q. What do you think qualities a woman needs to have in order to help a man grow to be the best version of himself? And what qualities do you think hold a lot of men back?
I don't know.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one right there. But I mean, because everybody, you know, they like different qualities and different women, and like, so for me, I'm gonna say for me, like like I like my wife being, you know, tough on me. Like, you know, if something not going right, and she's like, "Hey, come on, Joe, you got it." You know, a little encouragement. You know, like that goes a long way. You know, kindness goes a long way, but also, you know, a little mean. Be a little mean. Like I don't want no bend over backwards type woman. Like, you know, yeah, be a little rough with me. You know, like as far as get to it. So like those are qualities I like. I can't speak for nobody else because I know some men don't like, none of the toughness coming from their woman, but I do. That's like something that I thrive in. It make me go harder. You know what I'm saying?
It's different strokes for different folks, man. You know what I mean? It takes, I say, to talk to your point, one of the qualities got to be is you got to know and understand your man. You know what I mean? You got to know where to push him and where to leave him alone, right? That's a big part of it because, everyone ain't the same. You can tell some guys, hey, man up and get that shit done, but you can't tell it to everybody.
Yeah, facts.
That's not going to work in every house. Now, Walter, I know you have personal experiences with this, man. So what do you think? What are some of the qualities that you feel a woman needs to possess in order to lift her man up? And what are some of the qualities that may hold men back sometimes in a woman?
I think that I'm kind of totally opposite from Q on my opinion of that. I like, or I think a woman should, for me, listen well. And I don't want to come across as like some controlling person because that's not it. I'm just saying, like, I believe in the hierarchy of a marriage, and the husband is the head of the house. So with that being said, I'm not trying to take away my wife's individuality. We still talk about things, but I feel as though in many aspects of business and finance, those are my strong suits. So what I say is gonna go at the end of the day. But at the same time, I have weaknesses just like everybody else. And some of those places my wife may be stronger in, and I'll listen to her on those and go her way. And to answer the other part of the question, as far as like what holds men back, I think that question is kind of a loaded question because I think our culture adds some dynamics to the answer to that question because in my experience, Black men that are married to Black women have a whole different set of hurdles than a lot of other races out there, especially where it concerns the husband-wife dynamic, because we as Black men, we go through a lot, and that's not a complaint. That's a fact. We go through a lot in this world. We have a lot on our backs. We hear a lot. We get a lot of abuse in the world. We take a lot of abuse just inherently, just being Black. We have to, so when we get home, it really should be a peaceful place. But oftentimes, we find that marriages are marriages, people clash, and, it makes it harder is the whole point. It makes it harder for the Black man and the Black woman because they have this other dynamic of, that they have to deal with on top of interacting successfully as two adult people.
So what you're saying is our cultural experiences create more hurdles for us to connect because we don't know how to deal with them as individuals. So we come together as couples and we have friction.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I can't say that I disagree with that. Brian, you see men and women, correct, in your practice?
I do.
When you hear Brother Walt saying those things, man, first let me ask you what your initial reaction is, and then kind of the impact that you see in your practice and in your everyday living with clients, the emotional impact that this support system has in a Black man's life?
Well, I think every individual has their right to think whatever they want to think. But what word I recognize that doesn't come up as much as it should in marriages is the word compromise. People don't use it anymore. They act like that's not even a part of it, when that's probably the core of the entire relationship.
Mhm.
Because you're not going to always see everything the same way.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when I'm looking for a woman myself, I'm looking for confidence, encouragement. I'm looking for someone that has some ambition,
Yes,
somebody
sir.
who's going to ride with me. I don't need you pulling me back, and I don't need you just yes to everything I say. You
Yeah.
still have to be assertive, in some light, because we can have our own minds, but if we understand what compromise is, like he was saying, his lesser strength is not always going to be, that's where she's going to pick it up.
Mhm.
So in times you got to have some maturity within yourself. And then I
Yes,
guess
sir.
to end it all, she's got to have some spiritual maturity in order for me to even think about wanting to plant roots with her.
Right. What does that look like, though? Spiritual maturity, talking about, what does that look like?
Well, you got to be God fearing. So,
Yeah.
we got to have some structure, and we got to
Mhm.
understand that there is a structure that we're going to live by.
Yeah.
I do agree with there being a final decision, but there has to be a lot of conversation before we get to
Sure.
that final decision. This is
Definitely.
Yes,
not,
sir.
this is not me just saying, "Hey, we're gonna do it my way. This is the only way it's gonna be." And we're
Yeah.
gonna discuss it. And if you got evidence that supports your thought, then we're probably gonna that beats my evidence. Then we're gonna probably go your way.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I know in my practice, I come across either couples or individuals that come in to I want to say complain, but I shouldn't say that as a therapy. They process about their partner, and they they have a conflict among their goals or shared goals, and sometimes they're 10 plus years into the marriage and they're still out of alignment with kind of where they want to go and what their goals are. I'm asking, do you see that type of stuff, and how do you counsel that type of stuff when you see it?
Well, first we got to find out if we even like each other.
Mhm.
See, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And the what does come up most times is intimacy.
Yeah.
So, but you got to define intimacy. People think intercourse. Most men think intercourse first when they hear the word intimacy, but
Yes,
it's
sir.
everything that builds up to that point except for intercourse. So when I get the couples, a lot of times they are on as far as the east is from the west, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're gonna get in here, and I hope he take my side, and I'm gonna give him the long list, and he gonna fix you.
Yeah.
We all know it's not that, man. It's a lot of work that goes into it. But the first thing I tell them is that they're on the right track because they chose to be here.
Yeah.
You got to want to make this thing work.
Right. No, notice the words, out there, if you're in the audience, like, okay, not love, not be infatuated with. We got to find out if we like each other. You know what I mean? That's a different level of intimacy. Like, do I like to be around you? Do I like the things that you do on a daily basis? Do I like your character and the way that you are? You know what I mean? Where are you going? Am I in line with, where you're going in life? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things, that conversations that when they get to me, that we start having, and you start realizing, oh man, well, that's not what he sold me when we got married, or that's not what she sold me when we got married. Okay, so we here now, we can't go back. But what conversations can we have now? Is this a situation where we got to blow this whole thing up, or can we compromise and keep pushing forward? But going back to what Walter was talking about, about the cultural struggles that we have. I mean, we all face them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got systematic oppression, and generational trauma. These are real things that happen in our community. So, and right now we're in a situation where a lot of us are not getting along. We all are facing these problems. Black men and women alike are all facing these problems, and I don't care if this is your partner or not. Like every single woman and every single man in your life, if you are Black, we all gotta get on board at some point. At least the majority of us. But as a partner, let me ask you, Walter, have you felt like you ever had a woman in your life who actually pushed you to level up, or vice versa? Have you had to push somebody to level up and y'all leveled up together? But talk to us about that from your perspective.
My wife and I have leveled up together. You know, we went to school together, we became nurses together, we opened a business together. Um, so when we met one another, we had nothing. Like literally, we had absolutely nothing. And so to go from that to, you know, having a comfortable or somewhat of a comfortable life, yeah, we definitely, you know, all credit. I have to give a lot of credit to her, as far as sticking with the blueprint, getting us to where, or helping to get us to where we are. So
Yeah. How far, I'm gonna ask you the same question, Q. How far into it do you realize that, she was trying to, or doing her best to make you better? Or was it something you realized like much, much later on?
Definitely later, because like Walt said in the beginning, we both ain't have nothing when we started out. Like we leveled up together, and I taught her a whole lot, and then it became in reverse. Like she taught me a whole lot. So we just continue to level up. And me being, stubborn from the hood, how I was, like I wasn't into this type of stuff. Like being vulnerable and listening to what she had to say. I was more on some, now we finna do it like this is how we gonna do it. And being the slightly submissive woman that she is, she always listened, and we got to a lot of our goals. But as I matured, I learned that it take two, in a relationship, especially once we got married and trying to figure out exactly what marriage was. So yeah, we both definitely did it together, man.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I can be honest and say that there's many times I look back at my situation and be like, if I had listened to, in talking to my wife, if I had listened to you in that moment, my life would have been a little easier. You know what I mean? But there's times where, I didn't listen to her and it worked out for me. You know what I mean? So it's like understanding where that line is, where you have to kind of trust your instinct, versus recognizing that, you got to listen to your woman too. It's a real tough line. And I know I say that that's a blurry, as I say it, I'm almost uncomfortable saying it because it's like a real blurry line, man. You know what I mean? It's a guessing game, damn near almost. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's what it is, man. So let me ask you this, Brian. What do you feel like the difference is between a woman who inspires a man versus a woman who enables him? Oh, that's a tough one, but let me ask you, answer that for me.
The woman that enables a man doesn't have any ambition.
Oh.
See, if we're gonna ride together, we're gonna dream together too.
mhm.
Oh.
See, if I'm sitting around here and I'm thinking about, man, I don't know if I can do that, the woman on my side is gonna ask me what's stopping me.
Oh.
Because she's already all in. It's nothing but support.
Yes,
But the chick that's enabling me, she probably got something else on her mind. She got other things going on that's outside of our relationship, which that's what I call the third party.
Yeah.
Working on a third party and the party ain't between you and I, that's toxic. That's a virus.
Yeah.
That can destroy our one-on-one.
Oh man, you're saying a lot of words right now, brother. You're saying a lot of words right now, man. Made me kind of look off camera for a second, man. A woman who enables her man does not have any ambition. I really want y'all to grab that, man. That hit me hard. That really hit me hard, Brian. Walter, let me ask you though. Talk to like the younger, because you know what I'm saying, you up there now, you know what I'm saying, you above 40. I'm gonna say that. And a lot of women give the advice to make sure the man is whole before he gets to you. You know what I mean? So if you're talking to women in their 20s and 30s, you know, do you think they should wait for the man to be whole? Or do you feel like, you know, part of it is finding someone to grow with, or is growth meant to happen inside of a relationship? Is a man going to be whole without getting into a relationship? I guess is what I'm asking.
Not in his 20s. I don't think that's possible. Maybe on
Yeah.
rare occasions, but
Yeah.
it really takes some living and experiencing to become whole as a man. I'm 49 years old, and there are still things being added to me. So I can't say, I'm whole. I could say that I'm definitely further along in this thing than I was at 25 or 29 compared to now at 49.
Yeah.
But, you know, uh, the man who knows that he knows nothing, that's the guy who knows. So I know nothing. I know that I learn every day. And, you know, one day I'll get to the end of this journey. As far as my wholeness at that time, it'll be wherever it's at. But I do know at 25 that the woman that's looking for a man at 25 has to have an open mind and be ready to grow with this man and they're going to help each other to build one another from in their 20s. Like they're literally going to become who they are with each other's help, or who they will be with each other's help. So yeah, a woman needs to understand that in her 20s. Like it's going to be a lot of work, but that's where the joy is.
Yeah, 100%. How you feel about that, Q? I'm going to go to you.
Man, good. I'm talking about good growth always come later, man. My uncle always said it get greater later. I was very young getting into the relationship with my wife. We was 20 years old, bro. I know so much stuff that I know now, and I know how much more I don't know now too. So yeah, that growth is important. And it's always important, like I feel like when you're establishing a relationship early on or later, whatever, it's always important to be or allow each other to be individuals, because that's what
That's
a
a big
growth
deal.
really that's what a growth really comes. You
That's a
know,
big deal.
yeah.
No, that's a big deal because, you know, a lot of times, you know, the things that you be worried about when you're in your 20s or in your early 30s in these relationships, you get to a certain age and you're like, nah, man, I want you to be more individual. You know what I mean? Like you want the space to be more individual, because when you don't allow for that, what happens is everybody starts to wear masks, and then people start pretending. And then, you know what I'm saying, they just trying to survive in this relationship versus thrive in a relationship. You know, it's a big difference between surviving and thriving. And, you know, that makes me go to you, Brian. And what are some of the like basic things that you talk to people about when it comes to trying to get into relationships and grow? Like, okay, we kind of at a standstill in our relationship. Where do we start to try to connect and grow?
Transparency.
Okay.
That might be, let me not speak for every man, but for me, that might have been the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So before you decide to stay with one person, most guys are dating probably more than 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the mind is on different things and going all over the place. But as you date that one person, you got to lock in and say, okay, this is where I'm going to be. You got to put all your eggs in that basket. But that's difficult when you still have your mind in the streets. So until you can say, you know what, I'm finna chill out. I'll be at home Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah.
Until you get the what the young folk call it, the FOMO out of you.
Yeah.
You know, you the fear of missing out on something.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to focus on that one person. I know I wasn't whole, as you say, when I was in my 20s. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I dated 5 years before we got married. That's a lifetime for a lot of people right now.
It's a long time for sure.
6 years for us. Yeah.
So, you know, we claim 27 years of marriage, but 32 years together.
Yeah, for sure.
So in essence, it's very it's the focus that gets you to the point where you understand that, okay, this is what I want to do. And if you're being intentional, because when you're not being intentional with the one you want to be with, you're really just telling her what she want to hear so you can get what you want. And it's hard to come out of that phase of, let me tell her what she wants to hear.
Yeah. Man, that's what most men are doing, man. Like, that's what I'm experiencing, especially as a therapist, is that most men are just telling their wives what they want to hear. Meanwhile, crying in the dark, suffering in silence.
Yeah.
And you started it off with the word transparency. And I can't tell y'all, man, how healing that is for let's talk about a man. A man that is able to be transparent is on his way to something different. I hope y'all understand what I just said, man. A man that is able to be transparent, he ain't got to hide himself in this space, is on his way to something different, man. And I'm gonna talk more about that in a minute, but I want to chat, man. Listen, I'm about to go into a part of this show where we kind of are talking about kind of what women want to know. And we don't have any women on the panel, but if you in the audience and you have a question surrounding this topic, and you feel like you want, some black men input, please throw it in the chat, man. We're going to try to answer as many questions as we get. A man saying he needs a strong woman. Man, I need a strong woman. Then what are we doing as men when we find that what our definition of a strong woman is? What are we doing? And, what do women really want to know about how we process their support? So my question to you, Walt, is what does a man actually feel when he knows his woman truly has his back? I know you know something about that, man. Tell me.
Man, it's an unrivaled security. I think that, well, I'll speak for myself. The way I was raised, even though my father wasn't in the home, all my uncles and the people that brought me up were men's men. They're strong men. They don't, very hard men. So to be afraid, to be scared, to show vulnerability, to show your pain, like that's not things I could do growing up.
Yeah.
But to have a woman that I know has my back, it allows me to soften and to show her that side of me because I know I'm safe. I'm safe in that space.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 100%. I'm gonna get y'all answers on the other side, man. We talked so much, I forgot to show the audience the video that inspired the whole show, man. So we just going at it, man. So let me play this video, and I'm gonna get y'all response to my question to Walter on the other side.
All men that are trying to achieve greatness have to overcome it. They want to be great. Other than the faith you're gonna pick, the woman that you pick to go with you on that journey is 100% gonna prove. Did you make a great decision or a bad decision? There's so many things I've been able to do in life. And when it's easy, it's only because the woman that you pick That's everything. The reason I'm here, the reason I'm able to make it from years of scrutiny. In order for you to work in the dark, you're going to have somebody with you that can work with you in the dark. You know, and I'm not saying all of that was easy. We went through very turbulent times for a short time and then figured it out. A lot of times we're trying to achieve greatness, but we got to pick people who want to be on that greatness road with us. I was even watching something that gave me a supreme understanding of LeBron that I didn't have before. He began to talk about how Savannah James, because of her, he was able to achieve greatness. And I thought that was profound. It gave me a new respect for LeBron because that lets me know he gets it. And because a lot of times when people see a successful man, they don't think a successful woman. They just think, oh, she's this. No, if she does her part well, that's why he's able to rise to the level that he's at. If that home was turbulent, he would not have that peace and serenity to go out there and be great.
Yeah, man.
Jewelry.
I saw that, man, and I thought to myself, I don't know a man who has that type of woman that's going to disagree with that statement. And I mean, maybe there's some out there, and maybe not, but I don't know. And if there are some people out there that disagree with that, or some people on this panel that disagree with it, man, please tell me. But for me, I've thought about when I'm able to achieve my, the most is when my wife is in alignment. But I also know that when things aren't right, or when I don't feel supported by her, is when, I don't do well. You know what I mean? So that's just me and my lived experience talking, and also the conversations that I've had in session with clients about certain things. But I want to go back to that. I want to put a pin in that for a second, because I want to hear y'all response to the question I asked Walt about what a man actually feels. I guess it kind of line up with Mace's statement. But Q, what does a man feel when he's with the woman who like truly is holding him down? What does that feel like?
Yeah, man, you feel like Walt said, man, you feel that unwavered security, that unwavered trust. Like when you know in your times of weakness, like if you have none, and we all know us men, we do have them, we never want to admit it. But as you grow, you will admit sometimes you have weaknesses. And that ability to be able to lean on your woman for leadership in your time of need, that's one of the greatest things that you can have. And that unwavering security, it busts you out of the cocoon, so to speak, and then you grow and you become a new man, because okay, now I got what I needed, because I wasn't broken down in my time of weakness. It didn't get it did get compiled on. I wasn't belittled in my time of weakness, and she just straight had my back. So I'm able to be secure in a situation like that to make you come back for the comeback.
Yes, sir. Yeah, for sure. What about you, Brian? What do you say, man?
Man, I think it's comfort, fullness, and just kind of complete. I think people forget the fact that when you have the right significant other, you'll do anything. I always laugh because it's always this example in my head that a man won't get whooped in front of his wife or his kids. It's an unwritten. People don't really talk about it. But when your wife is doing what she's supposed to do, there's no way. I don't care how big he is or how strong, whatever massive person it is, you're going to take that challenge on, because she is giving you the support. You can't sit on the sideline and she over there trying to jump in to help you. That's really not going to be something you can live with the day after.
Right.
Yeah, for sure, man. Walt, man, you got some feelings about any of that, man, or Mace's video?
I think I kind of agree with Mason's take. You know, not kind of, I do. Uh, whether we're talking about the woman you choose to be with romantically, or like Brian mentioned, you know, he's had many women mentors in his life. You know, whether it be choosing those people in your life, I think it's very important if you are an ambitious man, and if you know are on a path of ascension, you definitely have to choose wisely the women, uh, you know, the woman company that you surround yourself with, um, because it's a double-edged sword. You know, a woman could definitely lift you up and help you to fly, but she can anchor you too if you're not if you choose the wrong one, like Mace was saying. So
Yeah, yeah. I know you start your day with affirmations, brother. So I wanted to kind of throw this question to you, Walter. You know, what are some affirmations that Black men can use to support deeper vulnerability with their partner? I know that's a tough one, but what do you think?
it's not tough for me, man.
I
You
know
know,
it's
I
not tough
start
for
every
you.
day. I listen. What
Yeah,
comes to mind, I already kind of mentioned it, and that is the
yeah,
joy is in the work. You know, many times, Brian mentioned transparency. You know, that is something that when you can affirm, like tell yourself, get in the mirror and say some affirmations surrounding being transparent with your wife, surrounding it being joyful to work on you guys coming together and staying together and being happy and blissful. Like affirmations surrounding those things go a long way, man. Like a long way. Like seriously.
so you saying you got to speak life into the relationship
You
as well?
must. I mean, you know
Yeah.
what? I can't speak for everybody. Maybe everybody don't have to. I love my wife very much, but you know, we've been married. We just celebrated our 13-year anniversary. We've been together 18. So, you know, I love her very much, but she get on my nerves just like I get on hers, you know, from time to time. So you have to learn how to navigate that, you know, because
Yeah.
a lot of these young people going back to the 20 something year old, a lot of these young people want instant gratification, which means I don't like what you did, I'm leaving. And that's not how it goes. If you want to be in a
Not at all.
successful relationship,
Hmm.
you
Yes,
know,
sir.
you
Yeah,
have to put the work in.
100%. I'm gonna say to that question, a man has to believe that he deserves his feelings. That's
Mm,
sometimes has to be taught. You know, we counsel a lot of Black men, and a lot of men do not believe that they deserve their feelings. So when you talk about affirmations, I constantly assure brothers that you deserve to. No one can argue with the way that you feel. They can argue with, you know, actions that you may take or mistakes that you may make or opinions that you may have, but no one, brother, no one can argue with the way you feel. If you feel a certain way, you have the right to voice that. So you you know, but you have to be able to approach your partner in a way that doesn't criticize them, right? So you lead with the way that you feel, because if you lead with the way that you feel, it can't be argued. But I really feel discouraged when such and such happens. I don't use the word you or in none of that. When a certain thing happens, I feel discouraged. This is kind of what I'm feeling like I need in this moment. So, depending on the type of woman you have, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out in that moment, because she's either gonna, you know, uh, process that and probe for more, or she's gonna shut it down and try to tell you what you actually are. And that's when you know you might not be in the right situation, or your wife needs some counseling herself. You know, um, but that leads me to another question. I'm gonna throw it at Q, man. How how can a woman support a man emotionally without, like, what are some of the words that you feel will work to support, instead of just trying to fix him right away, like trying to tell him exactly what he needs to do?
Well, for one, I feel this is just me, but I feel like in a marriage is not each other's job to fix each other. Like, you know, that there's some that, you know, has to happen internally. But
Hmm.
as far as words go like, encouragement, words of affirmation, a push here and there, and like Walt's always say, like a good listening session is probably the best way to support, a man's feelings for sure. Because if we feel like we're not being heard, we just gonna shut down and we probably not gonna even mention it again. So a good
Mhm.
listening session is probably the best way to do it. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
and then take that, process it, and then you could rebuttal or have your opinion about it, but take it in and listen first.
Yeah, yeah, man, 100%, man. I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. Sometimes I've said this 1,000 times. People communicate for two reasons: to solve a problem or to listen. You got to know which one your man's talking to you about. Why is he there? Is he there because he wants you to solve a problem or just because he wants you to listen? You have to know that. And it's okay for you to ask. You should be able to ask as a woman, what do you need me to help you solve this problem, or do you just want me to listen? You should be able to ask that. And whatever reaction he has, hey, y'all might need counseling. He might need some personal counseling if he don't know how to handle a question like that, because if you're in the right place with your heart, you're just trying to support him, right? There's a question in the crowd, Brian. I'm gonna throw this to you, man. What does a man do when he has a supportive woman, but she may not be the right person for him?
So she's supportive, but she's not the right person.
That's what he said. That's what he
Um,
said. That's tough, huh?
well, I guess you got to recognize what your cup of tea is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See, how do you
Yeah.
want your support packaged? Because intelligence
Right.
is attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going around here.
Yeah.
Because you might need to reevaluate what your cup of tea is. Because
Yeah.
if she doesn't have whatever attributes or features that you're looking for, but she's right there with you, supporting you, you might have to reevaluate exactly what you think you're looking for.
Right.
Because we all, as men, have patterns, and we a lot of times we're creatures of habit, and we stick to that pattern.
Yeah.
So if we want that rah-rah chick, there's another one right behind her. Most of your
That's right.
friends, you can look at them and tell that, oh yeah, this is his type, as far as her attitude or her behavior.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to stray away from that.
Yeah.
But what do you
No.
do? I think you just simply got to reevaluate what you're looking for, because if that's your blessing right there in front of you, I'm not sure why you would walk away from it.
Mm.
It's a deeper process, right? What you're talking about. It goes back to what you said about transparency first. And I think somebody said, I can't remember who it was. Oh yeah, Mike. He said basically a man can't be transparent if he's not truthful with himself first. If you in that situation, my thought process, you're not being truthful with yourself all the way. Because how are you in a situation where a woman is supporting you, but she's not the right woman for you? You're probably not being honest with yourself, and it takes a deeper processing to understand what is it that this woman does not possess, or what is she lacking, I should say, that is causing you to feel like she's not the right person for you. And these are kind of the questions that you may need to go over with. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because I am a professional. You might need a professional, you know what I mean, to kind of walk you through some of that stuff. Um, and you know what, I'm gonna toss it to you, man. Talk about what going through going through some things with a professional, the clarity that you can gain from that experience, and if you're being honest with yourself and willing to make the change, can put you on a whole different path in your life.
Man, I'm gonna go back to what you said a few minutes ago about I lost my train of thought. But to answer your question, talking to you has really put my brain in a place of, oh, I found it. Okay, we was talking about being vulnerable in with your woman, and being in that space and being able to own your feelings, and tell your wife or tell your partner about your feelings, and deserving them, knowing that you deserve them. So before I started
Mhm.
talking to you, I was having these feelings that you know, I feel as though I'm not being heard, right? And I feel as though I'm saying that. But what I recognized from talking to you is that I was not presenting that in a way that let her know that I knew I deserved to feel like this, right? So she would respond from a place of, I don't want to say shutting me down, but kind of like you said, just turn it around, and now my feelings have not really been heard or dealt with. So one of the things that I took away from our sessions is being able to present my feelings in a way that my wife can hear my feelings, okay, and allow her to process them from a different place. You know, this is another show, but I think that sometimes this gets lost in translation both ways with men and women because we're such different creatures, but we put ourselves together. And when I say such different, I mean the ways in which we process things and communicate within ourselves. And we try to bring these two totally different schools of thought together and make happiness for everybody. And a lot of times it's like oil and water. We have to figure out how to emulsify the two so they stay together, right? So
yes, sir.
I think that learning how to talk and how to express, even though I feel like I'm an eloquent guy and I know how to say it, that doesn't mean I know how to say it to a woman. And that's one of the things that, you know, I learned in talking to a professional.
Man, let me tell you something, man. You be thinking you are a great communicator and that you're saying everything the right way. But in reality, you're not identifying what triggers this woman or what triggers you. Because you could be, you know,
right. That part.
Driving you could be driving yourself into your triggers, and then you really lose any and all hope of communicating.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So no, I appreciate that insight, brother. I love the way you think, and I love you, brother. And you know that for real, man.
Likewise.
Q, man, let me ask you something, man. You ever felt like, you know, man, I'm just do this shit alone, and just kind of got into it and said, you know what, I'm gonna do this by myself, man. And what did that? If you did, what did it cost you to like not include your wife in whatever you was trying to accomplish?
I mean, yeah, I've did it before, but I don't think it ain't really cost nothing because we have that type of dynamic where it's like, nah, I actually don't need you for this. Like, it's cool. And she want to be included, but I'm like, nah, I got it. But, you know, most of the time, you know, us being super individuals and being so close, we definitely do most stuff together, like, and speak about it and, you know, write our goals down, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been times where I've done stuff, you know, and she was like, why I wasn't included in that, and you know, whatever success comes from that, she feel like, man, you know, it could have been better, or maybe you was right that you didn't do it without me. But yeah, it's happened before. It's definitely happened before, for sure. But not often. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we found a good medium with like involving each other, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you one of mine though, like just a sidebar. When they all went to Maine, I was like, why are y'all going to Maine? And like,
yeah.
And why we all ain't coming? So I was like, man, come on, man. Like, nah. But you know, that's a personal thing. But yeah. Like, well, I need to be involved with that.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and his wife, they all took a trip out to Maine, and that makes about a total of, including Walter here, about 5 people, black people I know that been to Maine.
Hey man, Maine is where it's at though. I mean, you know,
that's what they said.
Yeah. I got another question here. What does it say? What do you do when you outgrow your wife or woman? Woo! Example: she may still celebrate holidays and wasting money, and you feel that is all fake, and she's showing no possible. I'm sorry, I'm chuckling, man. This is my actual uncle, man. My mother's brother, right here. He says a lot of things that make me laugh, but I know where he's coming from when he said these things. But Brian, what do you do when you outgrow your woman, man?
That's actually very, very possible. But
Yes, it is.
you when you say the word outgrow, that depends on what page y'all on. Because here's the thing: how impactful is that to your relationship that she wants to celebrate that particular event?
Hmm.
If it's not going to hurt anything, then I understand. But sometimes you can't bring anyone into that light that says,
Right.
why we got an Easter basket?
Right.
Like that basket, what does it have to do with the actual? They don't even match.
Right.
But there's certain things that you're not going to win. But it's very that's actually a tough question. What do you do when you outgrow it? You grab her by the hand and pull her along, and you start giving her the insight that you have.
Yeah, you hear that, Uncle Chuck? That's my Uncle Chuck, man. Hey, Chuck, I'm telling you, what do you do when you outgrow your woman? That example you gave is not necessarily what I consider, it's just a mindset shift, right? Those happen. I think a lot of us have dealt with those kind of that mindset shift, and now we're not in the same space. But when you talk about traditions, it's a little bit rough to say you outgrew somebody because they still stuck on certain traditions. But I do understand what you're saying about feeling like that's a waste of money, because I mean that's where I get to. But what Brian is saying is, sometimes you just have to, if it's not really hurting nothing, you might just have to roll with it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, when we talk about really outgrowing your spouse, I'm not touching on that example. My thing is always somebody got to get in counseling. I know you get tired of me using that example, but somebody got to get in counseling, because when you're going somewhere and you feel like your wife can't go or is not trying to go with you, and she's making that known, like, I feel like you outpacing me right now. That's a her problem. I'm just I say that. I'm not saying that just because I'm on a. I say that in session. Okay, so this sounds like a you problem. So why you feel like you being left behind right now? Let's talk about that. Like, what insecurities are growing inside of you that make you feel like your husband is taking off on you?
Where are you adding value?
Yeah, where you adding value? That's another good question. Like, are you okay? You don't want to add value, or do you feel like what I'm saying, this ride don't include you? What are we doing right now? Like, what's making you feel the way that you feel? And because it's causing conflict, right? But Brian, before I get off you, man, let me ask you this: how can we, as black men, unlearn? Because they hear me say this all the time. Black men, we have so much to unlearn. Okay, we have so much to unlearn in order for us to be living and walking around in today's world. But Brian, how can black men unlearn the idea that accepting support is a weakness?
I would say two words, and I don't think half the your audience would understand it. But I would actually say be submissive. See,
Yeah, you're right.
if you actually think about what that means, see, most people think it's a cuss word. It is. Most women, most men think it's, like when you have somebody, and I hate to put it in a sports term, but if we're going to grow next year, we're going to grow together. So we need to get with the clinics, and we need to find some new skill sets. We need to find out what else we need to put in our bag in order for us to become one better, because we can't stay on that number we were on last year. Where are we going together? So when you say unlearn, it ain't so much as unlearn, it's just to grow and to learn that there's more out there and to be a lifelong learner. Because if you still doing the same thing you was doing in the 80s, and you still think the same way that you thought in the 90s, y'all not gonna make it.
You ain't gonna make it.
And if you actually think that the person that you met 2 years ago that you married is the same person, then that's a problem. Because you got a whole different person than from the person that you actually decided that you're gonna lay roots with.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah. But you did say some cuss words when you said be submissive, boy, I got a shiver in my spine, bro. I wouldn't. And I like to think myself as evolved thinking black man, but that shook me to my core right there, brother. I said, "Oh, I got to listen. I got to lock in. What are you talking about?"
What you say, Joe? That's a trick. That's a trigger word for you.
Yes, that got me a little bit, man. I said, "What this man talking about, man? Why don't you want to show for your expertise? What you talking? What you talking?"
No, man. Let me touch on that though. It's cool, man. I tell my friends all the time, man. Like, it's cool to not be tough with your woman. Like, you
100%.
know, you could be hard in the streets, be everything you want to be around your guys, whatever. Show you the toughest. When you're around your woman, man, it's okay to love on her and give flowers and kiss on her and be around. I'm not going out tonight, stuff like that. You always gotta be like this tough dude. Like sometimes I know, like I seen a video that was the other day. It was talking about how the woman felt like they wasn't her husband wasn't equals, right? And like I totally disagree with that. And I feel like, of course, I'm the leader in the household, of course. Wife would agree with that. But yeah, sometimes I let her lead and it's okay. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? You're not being no less of a man at all.
So Q, you can lead and be submissive at the same time?
I didn't say nothing about me being submissive. I'm just saying, like, you ain't got
You can't do it.
You ain't gotta be tough and tough Tony all the time. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's just the segue into I'm gonna play this video. I'm gonna get some of y'all final thoughts and we're gonna close it out. But that video, that what you said kind of segues into what I think what he's saying in this video. I'm gonna play it.
The problem is that a lot of women don't give a damn about a man's emotions until they don't get the solution that they want. It's a lot of men that are in marriages or that are in relationships, working their ass off, providing, doing their thing, being there for her, being there for the kids every single day. And he's miserable. But he doesn't have an outlet to come and explain to her why I'm miserable, or have an outlet to come and decompress and things of that nature, because everything's being taken care of. So from her end, it's convenient for her not to dig, not to ask, under the guise that she might be the damn issue. And she doesn't want to discover that I'm the problem. So I'm going to ignore the fact that my man is miserable. I'm going to ignore the fact that my man is not really acting like himself, or whatever the case may be. How the hell have we gotten this far without us being on the same page emotionally, or without you being able to identify what triggers me, or identify what, oh damn, my husband is acting a little different. Let me investigate and see what the hell is going on. But that's not the thought. But when it's a man, we have to do that, or else the relationship won't survive, right? So all I'm saying is that if you really love that man the way you say you do, you got to prioritize that man's emotions, not just in times of turmoil, not just in times of when he might have lost his job, or you can't buy that bag you want, or you can't go on that trip you want. Nah, when it's going good and I notice that my man ain't acting right, I need to dig and figure out what's going on. And if I'm the problem, so be it. I'm gonna talk to my man about how I can fix it. But it's not a lot of women who prioritize it.
Yeah, man. So that's exactly what you was talking about, but I kind of wanted to get that in because I felt like it was important for women who are in support of black men to understand that we are more than our output. And I know, and I'm really talking to the women who really care about what I'm saying. I know if you want to engage in a gender war or a gender war conversation, it's probably the place for you. But I think it's important to recognize that a lot of men that I'm coming across in my practice are feeling as though they are not any more value to them other than their output. And a lot of times we don't care about a man's emotions until it's too late. And this is why we're seeing such an increase in the suicide rate amongst black men, because we're ignoring their emotions. You know what I mean? So it was important for me to, but do y'all have any reaction to that before I move on? Anybody? Q, you got any? Walter, you got anything?
Yeah, can I wanted to say, piggyback on what you were saying earlier about unlearning. Like we had this conversation on one of the other pods about unlearning, like, the toxic stuff we used to learn. Like it's not cool to show you sad, or, show you're mad, or, whatever feelings that you got it's uncool for a man to do that, you know, and that's most of the problem. Like, to speak on what he was saying, that's most of the problem with men nowadays, and you know, even back then, that we haven't learned how to properly express those emotions that we have. So it's easy for a woman to take it and brush it off the shoulder because we not. I think Walter said the same thing. Like, we not properly expressing those emotions. We might think we are. We might say we articulate it as best as we think we can, but we're not properly telling her or showing her, like, this is the way I actually feel, without, you know, displaying some form of attack, you know.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yes, sir. Any other brothers got a reaction to that? Or
You know, I don't think any of us have been properly trained to be with one individual and to understand what compatibility is. It takes some time. It is not easy by any means. And the work is hard, but you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work. And if both parties are not willing to do that, then it's going to be some tough times. And it's going to be tougher a lot longer, you know, before you get to that other side of what the beauty of a relationship really is.
100%. We haven't been properly trained. I can't even begin to tell you how true that is. And doing this work has shown me that in my own marriage and in marriages of others, just how important it is to know and understand just the basic understanding of communication and how far that can get you. You know what I mean? Just without having those holes in your communication, where you're not triggering your partner. You know, it could have saved me, I don't know, 1,000 arguments, straight up. Last question, and I get to y'all final thoughts, man. I want each of y'all to kind of give your insight through your lived experience on what we need to teach the next generation of young Black men about love and partnership. You know, Walter, let me start with you, man. What do you think we need to? You got 2 sons.
I think the answer to that question is just an echo of everything that was said in the show today. Some of the words that come to mind: transparency, vulnerability, submissiveness. Like, the next generation needs to understand that, like Q was saying, you don't have to be a gangster with your wife. Like, you need to learn how to soften yourself and be ready to accept another person into your life. We're not trained to do that. So I think thinking forward and thinking about what is actually happening when you're involving yourself in a relationship with another person is very important to make it work, to make it mesh. There's a lot of effort required just on an individual's part, especially on the man's part, being that, you know, he is the head of the household. He is the person that is supposed to make things go. So of course he needs a helpmate, but he has to understand that helpmate may need a little gentle pushing sometimes.
About you, Q?
Man, like I always say, man, on every cast, man, be your wife's friend. You know, I know, Joe, you don't agree with that all the time, but you know, don't wear a mask while you're being a friend, because I feel like if you're being a friend to your significant other, you know, they should be able to tell you stuff that you probably don't want to hear, and you should be able to take it and process it and then return love with it. So, like, man, be your spouse's friend, man. Learn stuff about them on a daily, and continue to learn and continue to love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I said I don't agree with being your wife's friend, man. When did I say that?
On the last cast, but we ain't gonna get into that,
Yeah.
man.
All right, man. I need to revisit that, man. That don't sound like something. That don't sound like something I'm in line with, bro. Brian, what do you say, man? What do you got to teach the next generation, brother?
Man, you know, when I think about the next generation, man, I think about I'm sure you've all seen The Butler, and first 5 minutes of The Butler is just so impactful to me. To where, wife been gone, comes back, he talking to master, talk crazy to him, he dies on the spot. All because his son hyped him up and said, Daddy, you just gonna let that happen? He died right there. So what his son took from that is that, keep your mouth shut, don't say nothing, let people do whatever they need to do, and you go on about your way.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy. One thing we have not had to teach anybody is how to fight. We all know how to fight. You push me in a corner, I'm gonna fight my way out. That's just human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? That's so easy to do and it takes so much energy. Why is it so hard to love?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So if we can teach our next generation how to love, it might change and shift the paradigm just a little bit, because they'll view it from a different viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% am in alignment with that. Also, I will add that we're just in a place now where we're just learning not to be good humans no more. We're not learning how to be good humans. So we need education on what communication is really supposed to look like, because we don't really know. And that's another one of those things that I feel like we got to unlearn. We learn, you know what I'm saying? Like Brian said, nobody has ever taught us how to fight. Like, we just know that that's the way to go because that's the easiest thing to do. But, talking your way out of your situation and dealing with your emotions and feelings to avoid those type of conflicts. What about that? Why do I have to be an adult? Why did I have to get to my adult status to learn what good communication looks like? But you're teaching me the Pythagorean theorem and, how to construct sentences and all these other things that I may never use in life. But, we're not teaching each other how to be good humans. So we got to install great communication skills and empathy and the understanding that vulnerability is not a weakness into the next generation, in my opinion. So that, they know that they deserve to be heard. They are more than just their output, young brothers. You are more than what you produce. All right. You have a right to your feelings. If your mother or father did not engage with you in a way that was healthy and it hurt you, you should be able to talk about that. But then once you talk about it and process it, we're going to teach you how to move past it, so that you can still be productive and you don't let it be a downfall for the rest of your life. That's what we got to teach. That's what, in my opinion, we got to get these young brothers healthier.
Absolutely. Intellectually healthy.
Yes.
Emotional intelligence too.
Yeah, 100%. We gotta teach emotional intelligence, man. We have to, man. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's just a generation of us that didn't learn it. We didn't learn it. And, even still, even knowing the things that I know now, I still sometimes want to revert back to what I grew up knowing. You know what I mean? Like, I know that it's not a good idea, to hit this one over his head with a garbage can, but I still want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it'll make you feel better personally.
It'll make me feel like like, no, I'm a man now because I beat you up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of things that sound, even saying it right now, it's going against 40 something years of miseducation. So it's tough. I'm saying this, and I'm looking at you, brothers, and I'm telling you, what I'm saying is not easy. I'm just saying that we need each other desperately to rise to success. Look, this conversation, it's been a real one. And I know there's a lot of men listening that are, going to sit down with kind of what we're talking about today. Some men are going to dismiss it immediately, and that's okay too, brother. Whatever works for you, works for you. You feel like you are authentic in yourself and you're happy in your life and you're not struggling in the way that we're talking about, then that's good. But for those that are taking in what we're saying, I want you to know it's a space here. It's a space here for you. There's not many of us, but less is more. So there's plenty of us. So there's Black male therapists out there that are creating the communities like this show, that are creating spaces for you to be vulnerable and get out what you need to get out. So, we can discuss and grow together. Because we're gonna do good things together. So before we wrap up, and this is the last question I'm gonna ask y'all, and like this is your final thought. What's the one thing you want Black men to understand about the role of a woman in their journey towards success? And this can be geared towards your personal experience. So from your lived experience, none of us are experts, but just what is the one thing you want Black men to understand about the role of a woman in their journey to success? And I'm gonna start with you, Brian.
She's your helpmate. She's not the enemy.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
You guys can work together, but the more you fight and work against each other, the more you're setting yourself back.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Q.
Man, first thing I'll say is pick them well. Second thing, make sure, in the long run that y'all goals align. So, like we was talking about earlier, so somebody's not outrunning the other one and they start to gain resentment. Like, make sure your goals are in line.
Yes, sir. Big Walt.
Be honest with yourself, and therefore be honest with your partner. Specifically, I can talk about ambition, right? Sometimes people do grow. This is going to talk to what your uncle said. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes people's goals and ambitions evolve over time. Being honest with each other will allow you guys to realign, will allow people to realign their goals and dreams. So I think that's very important for a woman to understand, is to be honest with herself, be honest with her man, and it'll work out.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm just saying, you tell the truth, nobody really achieves greatness alone. Whether you're in a relationship or not. I mean, there's just a certain level that there's certain levels you can't aspire to without the helping hand of someone. How great would it be if that person helping you aspire to that level is the person sitting right next to you, the one in the passenger seat, man? I mean, what if we can get a woman on board with our goals and our dreams? And how do we do that? You know what I mean? We do that by what Walt is talking about, honesty and transparency, what Brian talked about earlier. The things that you heard here today, the level of vulnerability that you have with your woman, I can almost assure you is going to be directly related to the success that y'all have as a couple. Because here's what we can't do. If you're in a relationship and you're not being successful, then what's the point of it? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, what is the part of that love and that partnership? What's the point if it's just about the romance and the sex? Like what else is there to it? You should be, when you engage and choose to do life with somebody, you should want to grow with them. And that means including them in what you're trying to achieve. So that's what I would say to men, like, be transparent, be honest, like these brothers are saying, with what it is you're trying to go. And if it doesn't suit you anymore, if it doesn't feel a way, be honest and transparent about the switch up. You know what I mean? Be honest and transparent about the switch up. And to the ladies, you know what I mean? Look, we have another show for y'all to try to talk about, what we need from y'all. If you didn't get a lot out of this conversation, I hope you did. But we'll have another conversation maybe and talk about, kind of what we need. If that's what you want to know. Because, I know some women aren't in a position where they want to hear what their men need. They want to just tell their man what they need so they can get to it. But I mean, listen, if you are a woman who, and I know there's women like this who are sitting there trying to figure out how to support and lift their man up, we here for you too. We here for you too. So look, that's it for us today, man. I want to thank all y'all for showing up tonight. You know what I mean? If something said here resonated with you, please share it with somebody that needs to hear it. And we're gonna keep these conversations going week to week. Trying to create spaces for black men to be vulnerable and be authentic right here on Vulnerability is the New Sexy, man. I'm gonna start trying to hit y'all with an outro like I hit y'all with an intro. I'll holler at y'all next week.
I was blind, but now I can.
Yeah, calisthenics number 12. Yeah. Fly robotics. Bifocals, my own.